Okay, good evening, everybody. Let's hear who's out there for tonight's nets. There's 6 OPS standing by for check-ins. Okay, Adrian, can you hear me now?
Fine in you, Chad?
No, lekker, man. Just hot and all the rest of it. And WhatsApp is playing up. And yeah, I had Lawrence here yesterday and we were busy doing some testing. And like now, waiting for this message. This might take a while, says the WhatsApp chat. It's unreal, eh? Okay, second last call for check-ins. There's 6 IPS standing by. Right, last call for check-ins. ZS6 Oscar Papa Sierra still standing by. Nothing else heard. So I think we should, in actual fact, make a plan and get started. And of course, that's where I usually start off with greetings to one and all with a bit of a frog in the throat. And welcome to this week's net. Those wishing to join this net using Zoom may do so now as it is open, and yes, it is recording. If you do not have the Zoom link, please contact me on WhatsApp 082-859-2684, and I'll send you the link with the greatest of pleasure. So today is Sunday, 10 September 2023, and the time is 19:05. And we begin the weekly net with the radio amateur check-ins on the Rudderpoort repeater, which usually starts 5 minutes before proceeding. This net is broadcast every Sunday evening starting at 1900 and is broadcast for the benefit of radio amateurs, disaster relief cert volunteers, and members of the general public. This net is therefore open to all interested parties. Everyone is welcome to participate using either amateur radio, Zoom, or both. I'd like to remind all the radio amateurs that have not checked in that you do not need to be a member of any group or club to check in or to use the repeater or any of the amateur bands. All that is required from you is that you have a valid amateur radio license issued by ECRN, which automatically grants you the right to use any of the amateur radio bands at any time. Even though the bands might in actual fact be abused with notifications that are irrelevant and unnecessary, please just bear in mind that you do not need to ask for or be granted permission from anyone to use the repeaters or amateur radio bands. I'd also like to encourage all listeners and participants to share the weekly net Zoom link with everyone they know throughout South Africa. Doing so will help us grow the weekly net and will contribute to disseminating information as far and wide as possible. Right, ZS6 OPS returning. Time to unpack the COVID-19 figures. And just a reminder that many of the tracking sites have closed down, including the NRCD. And the only figures that are really available at the moment are the World Health Organization figures, which today reported at 6 September, funny enough, 6 September, 770,437,327 cases, compared to the previous week, 770,085,000. This is an increase of 351,614 cases, whereas the previous week's increase only stood at 279,585. So we definitely do see an increase and uptake in the number of COVID cases being reported. The death toll, on the other hand, 6,956,900 compared to the last week's total or previous week's total of 6,956,173. Again, a slight increase, 727 new deaths this week, as opposed to 676 of the previous week. Okay, ZS6OPS returning. Mpox has been reported at 89,752 cases globally as at 4 September, compared to the 89,596 of the previous week. This is an increase of 156, and again an increase on the previous week of 69. And I wonder if this isn't due to the change in seasons again, as we move into the summer months and the Northern Hemisphere is starting to move into the winter months. South Africa still has not any updates or reports, no further figures, so still standing at 5 cases, no deaths. Right, ZS6OPS returning. Let's move on to measles. Due to the outbreak of measles, I decided to include these figures in the weekly figures, which is all in the interest of public health. So as at 8 September 2023, South Africa now has 1,163 reported cases of measles, compared to the previous week's total of 1,133. So we are up slightly, and again, those figures are skewed, so trying to work out week-by-week figures, day-by-day figures is virtually impossible. And of course, the Limpopo region has got 522 of these cases, followed by the Northwest at 221, and Gauteng. Gauteng actually this week has reported 5 new cases, which is a little bit surprising. Don't know why all of a sudden more cases of measles. And as I say, those figures definitely are skewed in whichever way we look at it. Okay, ZS6OPS returning. Let's move on to some general news. And tonight I'm only going to cover the earthquake. Well, I think it's an appropriate subject to discuss tonight, considering the number of tremors that the western side of Johannesburg has experienced in the last 3 weeks. We've had probably in the region of about 10 tremors in total. I think 85% of the population isn't even aware of the fact that we have had these, and the highest being reported at 3.2 on the Richter scale. So therefore, let's cover the earthquake that struck Morocco 48 hours ago, or just over 48 hours ago. The death toll has now risen to 2,122 cases or deaths, with an additional 2,421 injured. I want to say this: in the last 24 hours, that death toll has increased over 1,000 people. So I think as the rescue efforts are continuing, and in actual fact only sort of just begun in the last 24 hours, I would imagine that there is going to be an extremely high death toll by the time that they move into a rebuilding phase of this operation. 2,421 people injured so far. So pretty high numbers, both on the death and on the injuries. And this was reported by State TV on Sunday. So that's today, according to Reuters. Now, France says it can help Morocco after the quake. They are awaiting Rabat's request. France said on Sunday it is ready to help Morocco after a powerful earthquake killed over 2,000 people. again reported by Reuters, and is awaiting a formal request for assistance. France is ready to offer its aid to Morocco if Morocco decides it is useful, President Emmanuel Macron said on Sunday during a news conference at the G20 summit in New Delhi. Moroccan authorities know exactly what can be delivered, the nature of what can be delivered, and the timing. We are at their disposal. We did everything we could do. The second day request this aid, it will be deployed, he added. France was among nations offering help on Saturday, following the earthquake or the quake late on Friday evening, which hit villages in the high Atlas Mountains and also damaged the city of Marrakech, or Marrakech, sorry, pronounced it the wrong way around, reading sideways. Our embassy in Morocco is fully mobilized, Z6OP is returning. Today, Moroccan authorities are in charge. An assessment of the situation is underway, and at this stage, Morocco has not asked for help, Foreign Ministry spokesman Anne Claire told BFM television early on Sunday. 4 French citizens were those amongst killed in the quake, and 15 were injured, the ministry said in an update on French casualties on Sunday afternoon. All right, so that basically covers the news that I have at the moment. I think I could have gone on with plenty UN and World Health Organization. There's a whole lot of webinars coming up, which I think I should, in actual fact, post out on the group. Maybe those that are interested would like to attend the webinars. Normally it is during our working hours, so it could be a little bit of a problem. But there's some interesting ones that are actually going to be discussed. So I'll just try and find that email again, and I'll make it available for the disaster relief CERT volunteers in particular. Now, in closing, let me sort of encourage everyone to register as a disaster relief CERT volunteer and to prepare and train to assist local communities when disaster strikes. Let's see if there's any other late check-ins. Z6OP is standing by. Okay, nothing else heard. Then in that case, I'd like to thank all those who have checked in this week, as well as those who have joined via Zoom. And for those that actually watched the video on the public channel on YouTube, which will be made available for everybody to members of the public, as well as the disaster relief CERT volunteers, they're more than welcome to watch those videos themselves. As the COVID-19 pandemic is still ongoing and is still infecting thousands weekly, please remember to physically distance yourself and to wear a mask to protect others, especially the elderly, who could lose their lives if infected with COVID-19. Remember that it is always best to sanitize or wash your hands on a regular basis in any event, as doing so will in actual fact assist in stopping the spread of other respiratory diseases as well. So for the week moving forward, be safe, be prepared, and of course, be happy. This is yours truly, Z6OPS, now releasing Redeport repeater for general use. Cheers all. Okay, so there we go. Let's stop the recording. This load shedding.